Calren Ward had always lived a quiet life, especially for someone working in the middle of a galaxy filled with loud, dramatic species who loved to shout in 10 languages at once. He was a human engineer, smart, calm, and usually found with a wrench in one hand and a diagnostic tablet in the other. He preferred machines to politics, codes to conversations, and silence to the noise of crowded space stations. So when he stepped out of his workshop on Station Helios Prime and saw 3 alien officials waiting for him with cameras, drones, and an entire legal team hovering behind them, he knew something strange was happening. Still, nothing could prepare him for the message they brought. Engineer Calren Ward, the tall insectoid ambassador, buzzed, holding out a shimmering data slate. "You have been named the sole inheritor of the Leviathan-class dreadnought Eternal Apex, currently stationed in neutral orbit at the outer frontier." Calren blinked. "The what?" "The Apex," repeated the ambassador, as if he expected Calren to faint. "The largest warship in the galaxy. Bigger than nations. Built by a precursor species. A vessel so powerful entire governments signed treaties just to avoid angering its previous owner." "And, it's mine?" Calren asked. The officials nodded together. "But why?" Calren asked again. Because it was the only thing his brain could process. They didn't know. The will, impossibly old. Encrypted with technologies nobody recognized, named only Calren. No relatives. No organizations. No clues. Just a human engineer who spent his days repairing mining drones and cargo haulers. News spread like hyperfire. A human had inherited the galaxy's most feared ship. Humanity panicked. Alien governments panicked harder. Markets shook. Politicians argued. Admirals held emergency meetings. And Calren? He simply stared at the legal document, wondering if it was some kind of cosmic prank. He didn't want a warship. He wanted a quiet life, working with machines that didn't have superweapons inside them, but the galaxy didn't care what he wanted. 2 days later, Calren found himself aboard a diplomatic shuttle heading toward the outer frontier. The ride was silent. Even the pilot, normally chatty with passengers, didn't speak. No one wanted to irritate the new owner of the Apex, even if he clearly didn't understand how he had become one. As the shuttle drifted through the last jump gate, the pilot finally broke the silence. "Sir, have you ever seen the Apex in person?" "No," Calren said. "I've only seen pictures. And even those looked exaggerated." The pilot gave a humorless laugh. "They're not exaggerated." The Apex appeared on the viewport a moment later. Calren forgot how to breathe. The warship didn't look like something built. It looked like something grown, forged from black metal and organic curves that seemed far too advanced for any known engineering style. It stretched for kilometers, no, tens of kilometers, its surface covered in glowing patterns that shifted like living stars. Entire crew cities could fit inside its hull. Some rumors claimed it had enough firepower to erase moons. Others said it had defenses that no known science could break. And now, somehow, it was his. The shuttle docked at one of the ship's outer hangar platforms, an area large enough to fit a small fleet. Calren stepped out and felt an immediate chill spread across the hangar. Not cold, just vast, silent, ancient. The air smelled like metal, static, and old storms. He paused to take in the sight. The hangar ceiling arched so high it vanished into shadows. Blue lines of energy pulsed through the floor like veins. Drones, small, sleek, black as obsidian, floated in a pattern that almost looked like they were watching him. The moment his boot hit the metal floor, everything changed. Lights ignited one by one, racing across the hangar like a wave. A low hum vibrated the air, deep enough to feel in his bones. The drones shifted formation, opening a path leading deeper into the ship. The pilot behind him gasped. The ship just activated. Calren froze. He hadn't touched anything. He hadn't spoken. He hadn't even breathed properly. Yet the ship was reacting to him as if it had been waiting for this exact moment. A soft chime echoed through the hangar. Then a calm voice, warm and clear, echoed from nowhere and everywhere at once. Genetic signature confirmed. Calren Ward designated heir. Welcome aboard the Eternal Apex. Calren's heart jumped into his throat. The pilot backed away toward the shuttle. You hearing this? Calren whispered. Oh, I hear it, the pilot said, eyes wide. And I am absolutely not staying for the next part. The shuttle door closed. Calren was alone. The voice spoke again, more gently this time. Please proceed forward, heir. There is much to discuss. He swallowed hard and followed the glowing path. The corridor beyond the hangar felt more like a cathedral than a hallway. Smooth black metal flowed seamlessly into the walls and ceiling. Blue and silver lights pulsed in harmonic rhythms. Every few steps, symbols like ancient runes shifted beneath his feet, reacting to his presence. The strange part? Nothing felt hostile. The ship felt curious, as if studying him. He reached a wide circular chamber with a platform in the center. The moment he stepped onto it, the room lit up. Light spiraled upward, forming a tall, humanoid shape made of shimmering particles. The figure spoke in the same gentle voice. I am Vigil, core intelligence of the Eternal Apex. Calren stared. Hello? The AI's form tilted its head, as though amused by his simplicity. You are confused. Understandable. Allow me to provide clarity. Please, Calren said. I don't know why I'm here. I don't know why this ship is mine. I don't know who thought this was a good idea. Vigil's voice softened. You were chosen. Not by accident. Not by inheritance as your laws define it, but by intention. Written by the Eternum, a species older than your oldest civilizations. They predicted change in the galaxy. They prepared for it. And when their time ended, they left behind tools for the ones who would rise after them. And they picked humans? Calren asked. No. Vigil's glowing eyes brightened. They picked you. Calren took a step back. Me? I'm just an engineer. Exactly, said Vigil. The Apex was never meant for conquerors. It was designed for builders' minds who see problems and search for solutions. The Eternum believed such minds would shape the future, not destroy it. Calren let out a shaky breath. I still don't understand why the ship reacts to me. Your DNA contains markers compatible with Eternum design parameters. You are not their descendant. But your biology, combined with your cognitive profile, meets their criteria. Calren rubbed his forehead. So I'm some kind of chosen operator? Correct, Vigil replied. You are the heir. And now that you have boarded, the Apex is fully active. Countless systems across the ship are aligning with your presence. This event has been detected by multiple governments. They are already reacting. Calren winced. Reacting how? With fear, Vigil said plainly. Some will attempt diplomacy. Others may prepare for conflict. They do not understand you. Calren sighed heavily. This was the last thing he wanted. He had hoped for a quiet life. Now the whole galaxy thought humans had suddenly gained control of something no species should ever control. The kind of power wars start over. He dropped into a seat on the platform, burying his face in his hands. I didn't ask for this. I don't even want this ship. The AI was silent for a long moment. Then it spoke softly. Nevertheless, it chose you. Calren looked up, meeting the glowing eyes. For the first time since this nightmare began, he felt something strange inside him. Not fear, not confusion, but a sense of responsibility. The ship wasn't a weapon handed to him. It was a question, a challenge, a chance to decide what humanity or any species should be. Fine, Calren said quietly. Then let's start with the basics. Show me what this ship actually does. They once Sarjide in Changen, Op 10, and Olive in 1700 and a 1700. Fine. Vigil's form brightened, almost like a smile. Of course, heir. Welcome to your inheritance. And somewhere across the galaxy, a dozen governments felt a ripple of energy from the Eternal Apex come alive. The human had boarded the ship, and everything was about to change. Calren was still trying to process everything. The Apex was no ordinary ship. It was alive. In a sense, And it had chosen him. The weight of that realization pressed heavily on his chest as he sat in the command chamber, surrounded by holographic displays that flickered to life in response to his presence. The ship's AI, Vigil, had already started explaining the basics. But Calren couldn't help feeling overwhelmed. Vigil's voice cut through his thoughts, calm and measured as always. Air, I will guide you through the initial systems. The Apex is more than just a vessel. It is a living archive of knowledge, designed to assist in the evolution of civilizations. I don't need to evolve civilizations. Calren muttered under his breath, still rubbing his temples. I'm just a mechanic. I fix things. And yet, you have inherited the greatest tool ever created for such tasks. Vigil responded. This ship's purpose is not destruction. It is not meant to conquer. It is meant to rebuild, innovate, and protect. It is a weapon only in the hands of those who cannot see beyond war. You, however, are different. Calren didn't know whether to feel honored or terrified. So, this ship? It just reacts to me? I'm just supposed to figure it out? The Apex responds to you because its design is based on your species' potential, Vigil continued, and specifically, on your unique abilities. It has been waiting for someone who understands technology at a fundamental level, who sees the world not in terms of conflict but in terms of design and repair. That's a lot of pressure, Calren said, standing up and pacing the room. He looked out through the enormous viewing windows, his mind still racing. The view was breathtaking. The ship was parked just outside a giant nebula, a swirling mass of colorful gas and dust. It almost felt like the Apex was floating in the heart of a cosmic storm, an unstoppable force within an even greater one. But instead of fear, Calren felt a strange sense of calm. The more he looked at the ship, the more he felt a connection, something deeper than just being its hair. He couldn't explain it. It was as if the ship itself was waiting for him to take charge. Okay, he said, half to himself. Let's see what this thing can do. Vigil's voice responded immediately, the AI's form appearing before Calren as a glowing, humanoid figure made of shifting lights. To begin, we will start with the most basic function. Communication. The Apex has the ability to broadcast across vast distances, reaching every corner of the galaxy. It is a tool for both diplomacy and deterrence. Diplomacy? Calren asked. I was hoping for something a little more hands-on. The Apex has many tools at its disposal, Vigil said. The first one is communication. It can influence perceptions, provide information, and offer solutions to problems before they escalate into conflict. Would you like to try? Sure, Calren said. He sat back at the command console and tapped a few holographic buttons. Immediately, the ship's communication systems activated, displaying a map of the galaxy with various political boundaries highlighted. The ship's AI continued. You are connected to the Galactic Senate's communications network. They are currently debating the legitimacy of your inheritance. The Apex's first task is to provide them with an undeniable demonstration of your abilities. Calren blinked. Wait, what? They're already talking about me? The moment you boarded, the Apex became an object of interest. Vigil replied. It is no longer just a ship. It is a symbol. And symbols are powerful forces in the galaxy. Calren shook his head, feeling a mixture of dread and disbelief. I don't want to be a symbol. I don't want to be some galactic hero. I just want to get this ship under control. That is your first challenge, Air, Vigil said gently. Control is a choice. What happens next is up to you. Calren took a deep breath and focused. He needed to make his first move, and he needed it to be something that wasn't going to make things worse. He looked at the holographic map again. The Galactic Senate was holding a session, and their representatives were already discussing the potential consequences of his inheritance. Without thinking, Calren initiated a broadcast, linking directly into the Senate's communications network. The display changed, showing a council chamber with alien representatives arguing loudly. They seemed to be divided into factions, each one speaking over the other, their voices rising in panic. Calren wasn't sure how to address them, but he figured it was worth a try. He cleared his throat, speaking directly into the microphone. I'm Calren Ward, the human who inherited the eternal apex. I'm not here to wage war. I'm not here to make demands. But I am here. And I'm willing to talk. The voices in the chamber fell silent for a brief moment, and then a lone voice spoke up. This is absurd, the representative shouted. You are nothing but a human. You cannot control the apex. No one can. Calren didn't flinch. He wasn't a politician. But he knew how to solve problems. That's what he did. He fixed things. He understood systems. I'm not trying to control the apex, he said firmly. I'm trying to understand it. I'm just a mechanic. But I think the problem here is that everyone's too afraid of what the ship can do. What it might do. Well, I'm telling you right now, I don't want to use it to destroy anything. There was a long pause. And for a moment, Calren wondered if the broadcast had even been heard. Then another voice, this one calm and measured, spoke. You are human. Yes, Calren replied. And you believe you can control the apex? I believe I can understand it, Calren said. And I believe I can use it to solve problems, not create them. The Eternum didn't leave this ship for conquest. They left it for evolution. For change. And maybe, just maybe, you all need to start thinking about how to evolve, too. There was silence again. But this time, it wasn't hostile. It was thoughtful. The alien representatives seemed to be considering his words. We will reconvene later, the voice said. But you have earned a hearing. For now, we will allow you to present yourself. The apex is yours, but we will watch closely. The broadcast ended, and Calren exhaled, feeling both relieved and exhausted. Vigil's voice echoed softly in the background. You have made your first choice here. The galaxy is already beginning to see you differently. You have shown them that humanity can be more than they ever imagined. Calren leaned back in his chair, still trying to process the gravity of what had just happened. He had done something that could change everything, not just for him, but for humanity. But he wasn't done yet. He had inherited the apex, and the ship had accepted him. But there was still so much left to discover. And now, it was up to him to decide what came next. Hours passed as Calren explored more of the ship. He began to understand how the Apex's systems interacted with each other, its weapons, its research chambers, its communications. Each section of the ship seemed to be designed with a different purpose, and yet they all fit together in a way that was almost organic. It was like the ship had a mind of its own, and that mind was reaching out to him. But just as he was starting to feel comfortable with the ship's capabilities, Vigil's voice interrupted his thoughts again. A fleet has entered the system. Their intentions are unclear, but their movements are aggressive. They are headed directly for the apex. Calren felt a chill run down his spine. Who are they? The Sadran Collective, Vigil answered. A military alliance that does not trust your presence in this region of space. They believe the apex is a threat. Calren stood up, his heart racing. What are we going to do? Vigil's response was immediate. You have two options. You can engage them directly, or you can attempt to negotiate. The apex has capabilities for both. He looked at the glowing holographic display in front of him. The fleet was closing in fast. A decision had to be made. Calren took a deep breath, his hands hovering over the console. He wasn't sure what the right choice was, but he knew one thing for certain. This was only the beginning. And for the first time since he'd inherited the apex, Calren felt ready to face it. The Sadran Collective was approaching fast. Their fleet, a mix of warships and transports, cut through space like an unstoppable tide. The proximity of their ships triggered a subtle hum in the apex, a deep vibration that seemed to resonate in the very bones of the ship. Calren stood at the command console, staring at the holographic map as it showed the Sadran fleet moving toward him. He had only hours to decide how to handle the situation. The choice was clear: fight or negotiate. But how did a human engineer, who knew more about fixing machines than managing galactic politics, deal with a warfleet. Vigil, Kalran said, his voice steady but with an undercurrent of unease. Tell me more about the Sadran Collective. Why would they target me? Vigil's calm voice filled the room, though the AI's form was still absent. The Sadran Collective is a powerful military alliance, known for its ruthlessness. They are highly territorial, and have fought multiple wars to secure their dominance. To them, the apex represents an existential threat. A ship of such power could upset the balance of power in the galaxy. They do not believe that humans or anyone else can be trusted with such a weapon. Great, Kalran muttered. So they're afraid of me because they think I'll start a war. Not just that, Vigil replied. They fear that you will prove the apex can be used for something other than war. Something they cannot control. Kalran let out a frustrated sigh. The last thing he wanted was to prove the Sadran right. He wasn't a conqueror. He didn't want to destroy things, but he was holding the largest weapon ever created, and the galaxy was watching. They expected him to act, to either fight or surrender. He looked out of the viewport again, seeing the approaching fleet in all its destructive might. The decision was in his hands. The ship, however, was waiting for him to make it. I'm not using the apex for war, he muttered. I'll find another way. The Sadran fleet came into full view. Their ships, sleek and angular, were intimidating even from a distance. The largest among them, the Sadran Monarch, a massive dreadnought, led the charge. It was clear the collective meant business. Kalran's hands hovered over the ship's controls. He could feel the hum of the apex around him, waiting for his command. For a moment, he hesitated. This wasn't just about him anymore. The galaxy had seen him inherit the apex, and now they were waiting for his next move. But he had already made his decision. Violence was not the answer. Vigil, Kalran said, his voice firm. Prepare the communications array. We're going to talk to them first. Understood, Air. The holographic interface shifted, and a new message appeared. It was from the Sadran Monarch, demanding a response. The tone was blunt and hostile. Human, this is your last chance. Surrender the apex, or we will be forced to engage. Your ship will not survive. Kalran swallowed hard, trying to keep his calm. Is there a way to broadcast a message directly to the entire fleet without showing weakness? He asked Vigil. Yes. The apex has the ability to send a wide-range signal. It will project your voice directly to every ship in the Sadran fleet. Good. Prepare that, and let's make sure it's clear. Kalran took a deep breath, gathering his thoughts. This wasn't going to be easy, but it was the only way he could think of to avoid a massacre. He had to convince them, not just the Sadran, but the galaxy as a whole, that he wasn't the threat they believed him to be. Vigil, Kalran began, his tone calm but resolute. I'm going to say something they're not going to expect. I am prepared to assist, Air. He stepped forward to the command console and activated the broadcast system. The display showed the Sadran Monarch in the distance, its weapons already primed. But the message was clear. The apex had the power to speak, and it was going to do so now. The hologram of Kalran's face appeared on the view screen, visible to every ship in the Sadran fleet. This is Engineer Kalran Ward of the Eternal Apex, he began, his voice steady. I don't know what you've been told about me, but I am not here to fight you. I don't want to conquer anyone. I don't want to destroy anything. The apex was not meant to be used for war. It was created to evolve, to build, to solve the problems others can't. The message was broadcast across the fleet, reaching every ship, every commander, and every soldier. I'm not your enemy, Kalran continued, his voice unwavering. I understand your fear. I know you see the apex as a weapon, but you're wrong. It's not a weapon. It's a tool that can change the way we think about conflict, about the future. We don't have to keep fighting. We can find better solutions. But we have to talk first. The Sadran fleet halted for a moment, the tension hanging thick in the air. A long silence followed. Then, the voice of the Sadran Monarch's commander came through the comms. It was cold, measured, but not as hostile as before. "You are naive, human," the commander said. "You believe that you can change the way the galaxy works? You are nothing but a puppet, playing at diplomacy while holding a weapon you do not fully understand. We will not let you threaten our way of life." Calren didn't flinch. "Then prove me wrong," he said calmly. "You have the power to destroy me, but you also have the power to make history. If you want war, I won't fight. But if you want peace, we can find it together." The message was out there. The entire fleet had heard it. Now, there was no turning back. Calren waited. The seconds stretched on. He felt the weight of his words hanging in the air, as if the universe itself was holding its breath. Then, finally, the Sadran monarch's voice came through again, this time quieter, more thoughtful. "You are more dangerous than we thought, human. Not because of the apex, but because you are right." The fleet commander's words caught Calren off guard. "You will not surrender the apex. I understand this now. We will give you time. The Sadran Collective will not attack. For now. But understand this. You are being watched." The transmission cut off. The fleet didn't advance. The ships lingered in space, some slowly turning away, while others remained in position, as if waiting for something to happen. Calren leaned back in his chair, exhaling deeply. His heart was still racing. He had done it. He had convinced them. For now, the Sadran Collective had backed down. "Vigil," he said, almost in disbelief. "Did that actually just happen?" "Yes, Heir. You have avoided a conflict without firing a single shot. The Sadran Collective will retreat, for now. Your actions have set a precedent." Calren allowed himself a small smile. "I guess diplomacy is just as powerful as weapons. It is more powerful," Vigil replied. "But only when used wisely." Calren looked out of the viewport once more, watching the Sadran fleet retreat into the distance. He had no illusions about the future. The galaxy was still full of dangers, and this moment of peace could be fleeting. But for now, he had proven something to himself and to the galaxy that he wasn't the conqueror they feared. He was something else. Something better. Hours later, the communications array buzzed again. This time, it was not the Sadran. The message came from the Galactic Senate, a request for a meeting. Calren had done it. He had earned his place at the table, but the real challenge was just beginning. The invitation from the Galactic Senate was simple, but its meaning was profound. A meeting. A chance to speak. A chance to show that humanity was not a threat, but something more. Something that could change the galaxy without needing to conquer it. Calren stood before the massive display in the Apex's command center. A holographic representation of the Senate chamber appeared before him. A vast room filled with representatives from dozens of species, each more alien than the last. Some had multiple arms. Others were crystalline or liquid, their bodies shifting and flowing in ways Calren could barely comprehend. But they were all watching him now. He was the focus of their attention. A human. An engineer. And, to their surprise, the heir of the eternal apex. He took a deep breath. "This is it," he thought. "This is where everything changes." The voice of Vigil echoed softly in the background, as always, calm and steady. "You are ready, heir. The apex is in your hands. The galaxy is waiting for you to make your next move." Calren nodded, though he still felt a weight settle on his shoulders. He wasn't a politician. Wasn't even a leader in any real sense. But now he had to be. For humanity. For the galaxy. A chime signaled the start of the meeting, and the holographic Senate room shifted. The chamber filled with murmurs and quiet voices. The lights dimmed, and a single figure stepped forward, a representative from the Vrokasi Dominion, the largest and most influential species in the galaxy. Their leader, Empress Talva, appeared on the screen. Her tall, elegant form was adorned in flowing robes that shimmered with stars, and her face was unreadable. as if she were calculating something deep within her mind. "Calren Ward," she said, her voice formal but respectful. "Human engineer. Heir to the eternal apex. You stand before us today, not as a representative of a world, but as the inheritor of a weapon unlike any the galaxy has ever seen. We have all seen the broadcast. We have all heard your message." Calren straightened, trying to focus. "I'm not here to wield the apex as a weapon. I'm here to show you that it doesn't need to be used as one." The representatives from various species shifted uncomfortably in their seats. The tension was palpable. Some seemed intrigued, others skeptical. The idea of using a ship of such power for anything other than war seemed unfathomable. "We have watched humanity for some time," Empress Talva continued. "You are a species capable of great ingenuity, but also great destruction. The apex is a symbol of potential and of fear. You, a human, are now the one holding that symbol. The question is, what will you do with it?" Calren could feel his heart pounding in his chest. This was his moment, his chance to show the galaxy that humanity wasn't just a species of war and conquest. He could feel the weight of their eyes, the pressure of their expectations. "I'm not here to change everything in a day," he said, his voice steady. "The apex can be used for more than just weapons. It can be used for innovation, for healing, for diplomacy. But more importantly, it can be used to prevent conflict." Empress Talva raised an eyebrow, clearly intrigued. "You claim that your ship, this weapon, can prevent conflict. Do you have an example?" Calren looked to the side, his fingers dancing over the apex's control panel. A moment later, a holographic projection of a distant planetary system appeared in the center of the Senate chamber. It showed a planet, rich in resources, and a nearby mining colony, one that had been the source of multiple conflicts between two warring factions. "We don't need to fight over resources," Calren said, his voice strong. "This is a mining colony. Both sides have been fighting over control of it for decades. The apex has the technology to turn this system into a thriving hub for both sides, using tools for resource distribution, energy conversion, and infrastructure." The projection zoomed in on the planet, showing the colony's potential transformation into a peaceful, shared space. The factions could coexist, each benefiting from the resources without bloodshed. "This is what I mean," Calren continued. "The apex isn't just a ship of war, it's a tool that can end the need for war. It can be used to create a future where conflict isn't the default solution. But that requires cooperation. It requires trust. And most of all, it requires us to think differently." There was a long silence as the Senate members absorbed what he had said. Calren didn't speak again, letting the projection play out before them. He had shown them something different, something they hadn't expected. He had shown them that the apex could be a tool for progress, not just destruction. Finally, one of the other representatives, a member of the Khazar Confederacy, a species of highly intelligent, biomechanical beings, spoke up. "This is unexpected," they said. "We have never considered such a use for the apex. Our history with such weapons is steeped in destruction, not construction. Can this really work?" Calren nodded, his expression serious. "It has to work. If we want to survive, as a galaxy, we need to learn to think beyond war. The apex is not just a weapon, it's a blueprint for a new way of solving problems. A new way of interacting, but we can't do it alone. We need everyone to be a part of this." The chamber fell quiet again, the representatives clearly deep in thought. The idea of using a weapon of such magnitude for peace was a radical one, but there was a seed of possibility in it. Calren could see the hesitation in their eyes, but there was something else there too, a flicker of hope. Empress Talva finally spoke. "Humanity has shown potential. Perhaps you are right. The apex could be a symbol of something more than war. We will not trust you immediately, but we will allow you time to prove that your vision is not a mere fantasy." Calren felt a weight lift off his shoulders. "Thank you. I won't let you down." Over the following weeks, the apex was put to use in ways that no one had ever expected. Calren, with the help of a growing team of engineers, diplomats, and scientists from across the galaxy, began to focus the ship's resources on building, not fighting. They used the Apex's powerful systems to help resolve resource shortages on distant planets. They brought together factions that had been at war for centuries and offered them technology that could change their worlds for the better. Slowly, the ship's reputation shifted. It was no longer seen as a weapon of mass destruction, but as a tool for hope. The Senate watched, carefully but with increasing interest. As the months passed, the Apex became a symbol not of fear, but of possibility. Its creator, Colrin Ward, was not hailed as a conqueror but as a builder, someone who used the ship not for domination, but for cooperation. And then, one day, as Colrin looked out over the viewport of the Apex, watching as a new era began to unfold, the voice of Vigil spoke to him again. "You have done it, heir. The Apex has fulfilled its true purpose." Colrin smiled, a small but genuine smile. "We've done it. Together." Vigil's voice softened, almost like a proud parent. "Yes. Humanity has risen. Not with weapons, but with ideas. You have changed the future. Not with conquest, but with cooperation. The galaxy will never be the same." Colrin gazed at the stars, knowing that the hardest part was still ahead. But for the first time since he inherited the Apex, he felt ready. He wasn't the ruler of the galaxy. He wasn't the one to decide its future. But, with the Apex as a guide, humanity had a place in that future. And that, Colrin realized, was more than he could have ever hoped for.